Hi everyone, just wanted to make a video of what I've done so far on my DIY CNC machine. Got some parts from China that I imported, some motors, stepper motors. These are the 1600 ounce ones. Got myself some motor controllers, got obviously the board that came for free, which actually does work, and then got myself the power supplies to actually run the boards, and then my old computer power supply to give me the 5 volts that's required and the 12 volts. So what I did is, as you can see, I took an old piece, well, a new case to be quite fair, and I've converted that now to hold my stepper motor components, not the stepper motors obviously, and that's it. So let me just go through some of the things that took me all night to get sorted out. So this is that obviously really cheap Chinese board that everyone's been asking how the hell does it work. So let's go through it very quickly. Obviously we have a parallel port that goes in over there. We have a +5 and a -5. The little pins, the jumper pins there, we don't need to do anything with those, just leave them as they come. You don't need an additional + and -5. That's isolated because of the jumpers. It's no longer isolated, it sort of bridges them. Then what I have over here is you have port P2, P3, P4, P5, and so on it goes. And these are the ones that you actually connect to your motor, your controller for the motor, which are these cables that I've got over here. What I did is I was using 2, 3 to try and get them to work, but for some obscure reason it wouldn't work, so I just moved them from 3 and 4 and then it works. So I have no idea what P2 is not working, and to be quite honest, I don't really care. I don't need that. I only need 4 motors to run the machine that I'm going to be building. Then down the bottom here, these are the input, and one of the main inputs is that we're going to be using is P10, which is the input for the emergency stop, and then I've got to connect it to ground. And what I have here is I have a continuous connection, which is the way I've set it up so that it doesn't give me that error, so give me an emergency error. And you'll hear a lot of people saying this is the safest way to do it. What it effectively means, if there's a break in the cable here, I get my error. When I set my switches up, my home switch, as soon as it touches the home switch and there's a break in that home switch, when it touches it and it breaks open the circuit, it gives me the error, and then it knows that it's reached home, or that it's met, or that it's got to the limit. What that means is, with the gantry moving around, if there's any break or wire comes loose, it'll give you an error, and then you need to troubleshoot and find. So that's how you do it, and it's set up in the software. I'll do a video about that later. In terms of the power supply, I've got a 400 watt power supply, which is a bit of overkill here. And as you can see, I've taken just one of the obviously the red is the +5 volts, and I've got it connected to where the +5 volts need to be, and I've got them bridged. As you can see, it goes from the one side to the other side and then across, and then it goes across. That's what you need to do for the motors to work. Then at the bottom here, there is, if I can find the thing. Okay, so to actually start a power supply, you have to take the green cable and earth it with the black earth. What that does, it allows you, when you switch the power supply on, that the power supply actually comes on. So when I turn it on now, there's no power. Give me a second. Let's just turn the power on here. Okay, power is now on. And as you can see, it's just come on. Power supply is now running, and my little board LEDs just come on. And as you can see, I've also got the fans running, keeping the case nice and cool. I've actually got 3 fans in here, one at the top, one at the back, and then I've got one at the front here to spin that up. And as you can see, also I have the 220 volts, which is connected at the back here. I know it looks like a bit of a mess, but I've done quite a good job inside. I've soldered these together, or soldered as you say it in America. I've then insulation taped it, and then I used some of that heat shield insulation on the inside. And the reason I've got 2 is I've got the one running to run this power supply, and then as you can see, I've got little live wires there which I wouldn't touch, to another power supply that I'm going to put over here. And then I've got a cable running at the top here all the way down. There it is there, and that feeds the 2 down the bottom here. Again, these are things one shouldn't be touching. I'm just going to turn it off. But as you can see there, my little lights have come on. There's power to them. So let me just turn this off very quickly. Then what I've got here is, these are the motors. They came with some instructions from it, but it's basically red, green for mine. Red, green, yellow, and blue is what you would connect to. If you can see at the top there, it's effectively A plus A minus, B plus B minus. I will show you later on how you can actually determine that with a multimeter without having, if you don't have the instructions from the guys overseas. I've also, if you've got the same as mine, I've also done the dip switches there. You'll see, and this is what was sent in the instructions, but just so that you can have a clear look if you need to know what the dip switch should look like. So I've got 5 off, which, so pins 1, 2, 3 are the pins for the voltage, for the amperage. 4 is, they've referred to it as half amp. I'm not really sure what that means. 5, 6, 7, and 8 is actually then the speed that we're running at, and it's got a little bit on the side here that tells you what, which is 1600, which is what the recommendation of it, again, from the supplier was. Some of the things that frustrated the living bejesus out of me was the fact that when I loaded up the software, Mac 3 is what I'm using, I tried to do it using Windows 8, that didn't work, and I was using 64-bit, that worked even less well. So I ended up installing Windows 7 eventually at 32-bit, and after lots of playing and tinkering around, it ended up working. I really did struggle to get some of the stuff done, but I'll do a picture on that at a later in terms of what I did on my Mac software to get it to work. But this is a basic setup on how the motors will be running. I will set these up and show you guys the motors at some point. I want to actually just look at the back here, and I want to mount the motor wires from inside. I want to move it to the outside where it's easily plug and play, where I can actually mark the different types of motors that are going to be there. So I'm going to have 2 for my X, 1 for my Y, and 1 for the Z. That's why I need a new, or another motor and another controller, because I'm going to do a smaller motor for my Z. I don't think I need such a big one, to be quite honest. It's a little bit overkill. It weighs 5 kilos. It just adds to the weight of everything, which I'm going to try and keep down. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this was a help. Cheers, bye.